How are you doing? My name is Bob Reynolds. I'd like to thank you for your interest in how to improve your water quality in an affordable way. What we're going to do is go through this report that I've set up. I'm going to talk you through this, and the most important thing that I want you to get from this is, one, my passion and experience at purifying water and being able to bring that to people in an affordable fashion. And let's go ahead and go through this report here, and I'll go along with you. I've been purifying water for about 30 years. I worked as a nuclear chemist on board submarines and nuclear power plant. I've sold water systems, worked for the health department, worked for national known water quality for pool and spa commercial fields. So I've been in lab and in testing with wells and water sources for, like I say, about 30 years. Know all the different types of purifying systems available. Keep up on the problems that are going on in our environment with the water. And that is why I've decided, with my passion, kept driving me to taking what I know, my expertise, and at least breaking it down to where people could understand what their water quality is and how in an affordable fashion how they can improve the quality of that water. Okay, some of the common areas that we all struggle with when it comes to our water is, of not knowing what's in it. This report may not apply to some people. It may apply, some people may have great water, but I'm sure that everybody will get something out of this report. We all either put it on the back of our minds, but we do have some question about the quality of our water, or the bottled water industry wouldn't be so. So we do have a fear for the toxins and germs in our drinking water and in our bathing water. I don't think people realize that the water can actually absorb in your skin as well. So if you've got high concentrations of chlorine or lead in your water, you're going to be getting that absorbed through your skin in the shower as well as when you're drinking it. So the problem here is, through years of drinking and being exposed to these low doses of poor quality water, it does start carrying a chronic load on your health. And me as a water geek, guru, if you will, and its connection to well-being and healing or a healthier life, I just couldn't really go any further in my life until I at least documented and taught people what I know about water and how to help them be aware so that they can understand the importance of quality water and not to be afraid of it and just block it out and ignore it, because ignoring a chronic low dose exposure situation doesn't help anybody, especially if there's children involved. So the problem here is the knowing what to do, knowing what you're dealing with, knowing what to do, and then if you can afford to do something about it. So that's what this report's going to help you to do. Okay, and the most important thing is it's worth being proactive, and I think that's where most people fail. It's not really about the money, but it's about not having that confidence at knowing what to do on investing that money. So hopefully this report will help you out with that. All right, so and the last thing is the pleasure that you're going to get with nice, clean, healthy water that's both flowing on your skin in the shower and stuff you're cooking with, washing your dishes with, or drinking. All right, here, who am I and what's the pitch? Well, the real pitch for me is getting my passions and my knowledge out there to increase people's awareness. We do have a water quality issue. There's a lot less water for our human usage on this planet than people realize. And so, to me, my passion to enhance individuals' quality of water, to help our environment, to get my experience and credibility out there gained through 30 years of purifying water. I've been for the defense system, for the local public health departments, for the commercial pool industry, as well as rural area, and personally myself. That's my own interest there as far as how good of quality of water can a man afford. Anyway, so my passion to teach and bring awareness about affordable, healthy water, those are the main things I want you to grab from this, is my passion to teach you and to help you and your children with better quality of water that's affordable. Okay, obtaining affordable, healthy water. Well, let's talk about the types of pollution we're dealing with so we know that what type of systems that we really need. Because until we know what's in our water or the source, it's going to be kind of hard to match what you want to do to get the biggest bang for your buck, really. Okay, and water pollution in itself can be defined in a bunch of different ways. But in a nutshell, it's any body of water to where it gets enough chemicals in it, it starts hurting animals and people. When we look at some sources of water here, there's really two different types of water pollution. Okay, one of them is going to be direct discharges into your water, and the other is going to be indirect discharge. Now, we always hear about the direct discharges, you know, the oil tanker that spilled, the nuclear power plant that's leaking, you know, into our oceans, Procter and Gamble, well, I better not say any names, you know, chemical companies, you know, just dumping their waste into their latest reservoir or wherever that seeps into the groundwater that we drink. And so those are some of the areas: sewage treatment plants, industrial facilities, dumping toxins. These are all direct discharges directly into the water. And even though that's an awful lot of pollution, there's a mass amount of pollution that comes from small little indirect dosages or discharges into the water source from urban runoff and agricultural runoff. And that's something that we can help by minimizing how much oil we pour down the street trap, you know, or how much toxins. If we don't need a certain toxin, instead of just dumping it down the commode or dumping it in the water drain, controlling our toxins and our waste individually would minimize a huge burden of water pollution. Here's some examples of different water pollution and what they can do. You know, I mean, I grew up living around two different inland lakes and watching the pollution and the people just living along that lake. I've watched some beautiful inland waterways really being destroyed from high algae, low oxygen, high nitrates. The main types of water pollution. Okay, we discussed earlier there was the different sources, you know, and then now there's types as far as there's surface water pollution and there's groundwater pollution. Obviously, your surface water is going to be your lakes, and your groundwater is going to be your aquifers. There are two different ways in which the pollution can occur, and we talked about the point source, and we talked about the non-point source. Okay, here's a good graphic here that shows you all the different various sources of pollution. We've got industrial effluents, that means water that's leaving out. We have soap and detergents, fertilizers, pesticides, heavy metals, and sewage. Now, in the sewage itself is bad because of the nitrates, but when you also get your fertilizers that's running off, mixing in there, it'll start killing the water, start growing algae blooms, stealing the oxygen and everything in there will just start dying off. You know, in developed countries, of course, we have toilets that go to sewer plants, but that sewer discharges also in either reservoirs that soak into our water or they dump into lakes. Even in some of the richest companies, they still dump directly into lakes and into the sea. They don't even process the waste, they just dump it. And again, you have factories and people of pollutant as well. Different waste from different processes going on in factories. Then you actually have just chemical waste from processes that get dumped into the water. So mostly detergents, but there was also a chemical that showed up in the water that's still in the water, not as much, and that's the PCBs. It comes from an oil that's used in transformers. And these oils and stuff, they don't break down right away, so they still kind of hang with us for a while. And then obviously there's one that's not mentioned very much as well, but there's also the radioactive spills, which is kind of interesting. I remember when I was down the bottom of the submarine, when I was first on the submarine, and sometimes you purify your reactor water from the reactor coolant. And I mean, it goes through a filter system and it's below minimum detectability, but it's still filtered radioactive waste right out of the reactor. And sometimes you'll get too much of that stored up on a boat, and you'll actually, through accordance with proper procedures, you'll actually discharge some of that at sea. And that's kind of a sad, sinky feeling when you're discharging what used to be radioactive liquid into the ocean. And I used to worry about that, because I care about the nature and the environment and people. And then now I see what's going on with this plant in Japan and how much it's leaking into the ocean, and it seems that nobody wants to talk about the big elephant in the room kind of thing. Anyways, so we have all this stuff going on in our water. We have the oil pollutions that are going on. And the point is to make you aware of all these different toxins and different ways that the water is getting polluted. Sewage, wastewater, chemical waste, radioactive waste, and oil. Just do a quick review there. And so when we have states, and that aren't telling us we have high lead in our water, or towns, and they finally come out with, hey, we have high lead in our water, or other chemicals, hardness of water, or, oh, there's a, the plant dumped last week and we didn't have enough chlorine in the system, so there's a big old, slug of biologically contaminated water that got through into the city pipes. You don't really hear about that, but there are tests that have shown that that does happen. And so that's why we need to take responsibility as the endpoint user to minimize our own exposure to poor quality water. Okay? Because poor quality water, it's one of those things that's just a little bit every day. You don't really see its effects, but over a long-term effect, it will have a impact on your quality of life. The effects of drinking water and using dead water and polluted water is depriving us of oxygen, vibrant life force, and it's also bringing more toxins into our body when it's supposed to be helping take toxins out. So the importance of good quality water to our being and planet is vitally important, and you can do something to improve your quality of life with your water. And I like that, some people say that, pollution is a necessary evil, that people must put up with it if they want to make progress. Well, fortunately, I don't agree with that, and a lot of other people don't. You don't have to have so much pollution to make progress. And a lot of times pollution is completely centered around saving the buck. But when it comes to controlling pollution in your own home, in your own sphere, you can take control of that. You can minimize your exposures, and the cost is really inexpensive. Right now, we're just focusing on water. I have experience in air quality as well, and as far as overall wellness. But right now, the most important thing that's weighing on my heart is to teach people the awareness of water and what they can do to increase its quality. So moving right along here, the strategic management of water pollution, there's really 3 areas that actually can be focused on to help improve water quality as a country, as a world, as a backyard in your own home. And number 1 is what I'm doing is making people more aware that find out exactly what their water is, test it, and then be proactive and do something that they can afford to increase the quality of it. So it boils down to that, and also the legislation laws that at least get us closer than other third world countries into having healthier drinking water. But there's so much more that can be done with the technology we have, especially if the end user, meaning us and you, the consumer, is just a little proactive. Okay, we can't always just completely lean on our government systems to provide us the best quality that we can afford ourselves. And so it also boils down to economics. And by working on these 3 areas is really the best way to stop or slow down the pollution. So what we've been working on here, okay, is the awareness, knowing when your water is polluted. There are 2 main ways of measuring the quality of your water. And one is to take a sample of the water. Okay, and when you take a sample of this water, and there's different ways you can get this water sampled. You can have it sampled for biologics and nitrates at your local health department normally. There's phone numbers you can call locally and find out where there's a local lab. But also there will be some actually self-tests that will be at the end of this report, where you can actually get your own test kit and find out what you have. And if you have a problem, then you can always take another test kit to the lab and get more specified on what's going on. So there's the chemical indicators about your water quality, and then there's also just a visual, just a common sense field test. If you got water and it's not any fish swimming in there, or they're real slow and sluggish, and it's murky, and there's insects, and there's not a whole lot of floating around in it, chances are it's not, those are biological indicators, and the chances are that the water's probably not really healthy. And that's where, for years you've always been trained, don't drink running or water from a pond or brackish or stagnant water. Choose it from a stream that's running. And we're going to get more into the science behind that here in a little while. All right, here's what you can do. Everyone's like, well, what can I do about it? Well, first thing you can do about it is be made aware. All right, and the next thing you can do is take some action. Learn about it, take some action, and see what happens. There's several ways to help your water. You can use the basic filter system through the years, and there's all types of filter systems, and we're going to talk about that so you're not confused on the market. There's your soft water softeners that use the salt, and we're going to be moving along here. I don't want this to get much longer. And there's the regular carbon filters, which are actually probably the cheapest, most effective way. And then there's other conditioners. We'll go right through those. So here's, we're taking wastewater from our world. We're running through a waste treatment plant, and we're cycling it right back into the water, into the reservoirs, or injecting it back in the underground, and we're pumping it right back up, taking it to the water treatment plant, and we're reusing it again in our home. That's what we're doing. Okay? So the question that we've got to do is we've got to figure out what's going on with our tap. Okay? That's where we need to take control of it. And we need to get a sample of it so we know what it is, because otherwise we're just flying we're flying blindly. So get a sample of your test water. Don't trust just the municipalities to tell you what's going on with it. Okay, here's a link you can go that tells you in your area what the probability of your aquifer is as far as having nitrates. Nitrates is a great indicator of how much fecal matter is in the aquifer in that area or in that lake. Okay, so the main thing here is you want to be proactive, and and take action. Okay, sample it, some of the indicators, test your own supply, find out where your source is from. There's a link here where you can go and get a kit. You can go here and look at some of the water products. I've looked over line and found the products that are very affordable to ones that are a little bit higher price, but mostly in the carbon filter range and some other new technology that's out as far as not using power or replacing filters. So here's a good checklist to use. Okay, research your resource or your source water, if it's municipal or if it's well. It's well water, you might want to consider getting it tested for bacteria. You may have to shock it with some chlorine, but that chlorine will actually dissipate away and clear out, and I would probably do that before I used filter if I was going to use some filters. Acquire a sample kit and determine your results. Determine what system best meets your needs and your budget. And you can look me up on Facebook. My name's under Robert Reynolds. I have a site that's called Water Wisdom. It's a group, and you can come along and ask me any questions about water, pertaining about anything. If I don't know the answer, I'll be able to find it. After so many years in the field, it's been pretty easy. Before and after installation, take samples. It's not necessary, but it's highly recommended. And then just observe before and after the results. And I have to throw this in there as a disclaimer. All water sources vary, so exact results may vary. And then finally, at the end of this report, I do have another report that gets more into some high tech research on water over the last 3, 4, 5 decades, and just how that's being used to enhance water quality. If you click on the links below, you'll be able to find the next report. It's a free bonus report on the torsional theory and its applications on increasing your oxygen and decreasing nitrates and bacteria while clustering your water and adding life force. Is some of this new technology along with helping with the water. So it's like another type of filter system, but it's without the filter. It's a little device and component that does similar thing that a filter does, and that's something the next report will cover. But anyways, if you have any questions, contact me, and there will be some links associated with this report where you can go and check out some water systems. And if none of these meet your fancy, the most important thing I want you to get out of this report is to be proactive. I mean, goodness, see what your water is giving you. See what filter you can afford and put on there and check the difference. And that's what you need to do. Thank you very much, and you have a great day, and I hope you got something valuable from this report.
All right, Bob Reynolds here. I hope you enjoyed that report. If you click the link down below, it'll also take you to a bonus water report that will show you how technology in the last 5 decades have actually been being used to enhance water. I hope you enjoy this next report, and you take care and have a great day. Just click the link below.